When it comes to the topic of freeze dryer, cost is that one prohibitive thing that keeps most people from getting into it. Yes, they are a little expensive, but part of the issue with that cost is justifying it. When people think about freeze-dried product, they're usually thinking two different things. One is freeze-dried candy that you can buy at the farmer's market, or some psycho prepper who's stockpiling food for when the zombies come. Most people don't realize the everyday practical uses that a freeze dryer allows. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 staple items that you can keep on hand and you will use almost daily. So we're not talking about things where you're going to freeze dry something and keep it around forever. We're talking about justifying the cost by having things on hand that you can use anytime you need it. So let's get into it. The first item we're going to talk about, it's not sexy. In fact, a lot of people are going to think, wow, that sounds pretty basic. It's ground beef. But let me tell you why I think ground beef is one of those staples that will help you justify the cost of buying a freeze dryer. Now, if you look behind me, you can see this large pile of Mylar bags. I've just finished up a project of freeze drying a bunch of stuff, and that's kind of what inspired this video. So getting back to talking about ground beef is one of those things that a lot of us use every day, every other day, whatever. Most of us use a bunch of it at any given time. If I think back over my entire life, the most consistent meat product that I have bought is probably ground beef. It's so versatile, it's easy to cook, it's easy to use. But the problem is sometimes you just don't want to cook it, or you're not in a position to thaw out some ground beef, cook it up, and then add it into whatever else you're going to make for dinner. Or maybe you're at the office and you've got no way to do that, but you'd really like to have some kind of a protein in your lunch. Ground beef is a great ingredient to freeze dry because number one, it's easy to work with. Number two, it's easy to bring it back to the point where you don't even realize that it was freeze-dried in the first place. When I'm going to freeze-dry ground beef, I like to check my local grocery store to see if they've got large chubs of ground beef on sale. Usually they'll present a pretty good price, and I can do it in larger batches. So I'll buy a 3-pound chub and cook it all up at once. When I cook my ground beef, I like to add water to it. That water helps to break down the fats, draw them out of the meat, because as we've discussed before, when it comes to freeze drying, fat is the enemy. I understand fat is flavor, but when you're freeze drying food, fat will go rancid and it will destroy the rest of the product. So we want to dry out as much fat as we can. So I'm going to add water into that. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt, some pepper, and a little bit of garlic so that it kind of makes up for the flavor that we're losing from the fat. Once we're done cooking the meat, we're going to drain it out, get all the grease out of it, and then put it in the freezer and get it ready to go in the freeze dryer. Now, this is where what I'm talking about today is different from what most people talk about when it comes to freeze drying meats. Let me show you something real quick. Here I've got this Mylar pouch with about a pound of freeze-dried ground beef. Now, it's a pound before it was freeze-dried, not after, but this is an approximate of what a pound of ground beef would be. If I come home from work and don't feel like cooking up ground beef to throw in the spaghetti tonight, all I gotta do is break this out. Believe me, I'm gonna make more. But let me show you my little hack that goes along with this, and that would be this. This is a small Mylar pouch that is stocked up with ground beef. It's just a small portion, a few tablespoons of ground beef, but it's freeze-dried, which makes it shelf stable. I can take 2 or 3 of these bags, throw them in my desk drawer at work, and now I've got an instantly available protein to add to whatever I'm eating. Later on in this video, we'll talk about one of my favorite things to do with this. But understand that when you make small portions like this, you make this available for daily easy use. That's what all of this is about. We're taking something that's complicated and limiting, especially in an office environment, and we're making it available on demand. All right, so let's talk about the second staple. The second item doesn't really require any cooking on my part. It's rotisserie chicken. Now, the great thing about rotisserie chicken is it's already cooked up, it's already seasoned, and it's ready to go. And you can get it in a couple of different forms. Most grocery stores have fresh rotisserie chicken waiting for you to pick up hot in the bag. But also a lot of those stores will take the extra chicken, they'll break it up, and they'll put it into packaging where you can buy just the meat itself. Now, if you go to Costco, you can buy a large package of rotisserie chicken meat fairly cheap, and that is a great way to do this. In my case, I went and I bought one of each. I bought a rotisserie chicken, and then I bought a pack of the rotisserie chicken meat. In this particular case, I didn't have time to go to Costco. I just went to my local Kroger. For dinner that night, we had that rotisserie chicken. Then I took whatever was left and I added it to the other meat that I already had from that little plastic package. After freeze drying, pulled rotisserie chicken comes back just like you want it to. You end up with a protein product you can throw into whatever you're eating, and in a little bit we'll talk about some ways to use that. Now before I talk about item number 3, let me make a point here. This is not intended to be a list that says this is everything that you're going to need and everything that you can do like this. This is a thought exercise. Like a lot of the other content on this channel, it's designed to get you thinking about different ways to do things, what a lot of people call thinking outside of the box. So if you have ideas for items like this that you think would be great everyday staple items to freeze dry, please go down in the comments section, leave me a comment and tell me about it, and maybe we'll do a follow-up video trying some of those ideas. But for this video, my last item that I'm going to show is Cajun Mirepoix, or Cajun Trinity. This is a blend of onions, peppers, and celery that's a staple flavor in most Cajun and Creole cooking. It brings an aromatic blend to any recipe that you use it in, and you'd be surprised where you can slide this into something that you're cooking and completely wake up the flavor. But it's another one of those things that sometimes I don't have it on hand. I've got to go to the grocery store to get it, but if I've got it set aside in my freeze-dried goods, I don't have to worry about doing all that. But when I prepare my Cajun Trinity for the freeze dryer, what I like to do is cook it down and sweat it a little bit. I don't like crunchy vegetables in my cooked food. I want to make sure that I get this stuff cooked down to the point that I can use it the way that I need it. Now, the items in this mix will cook down considerably. So when you start out with a full pot, it's not going to look like much when it's done. In this particular video, I used 3 freezer bags of the Trinity, which is a great way to get it because it's already prepared, it's chopped up, it's ready to go, and it's super easy to do. By the way, stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you a bonus item that involves that Cajun Trinity. And by the way, here's a pack of the chicken and a pack of the Cajun Mirepoix. So let's open up one of these packs of ground beef and reconstitute it. One of the things that pleasantly surprised me about working with freeze-dried ground beef was how quickly and perfectly it reconstitutes. Let's pour this up. I'm going to show you about how much goes into one of these little pouches. There we go. All right, so let's add a little bit of hot water in here and get this stuff waking up. All right, let's do the same thing with a pack of chicken. Let's pour out our chicken. There we have it. All right, let's add some hot water in here and get our chicken waking up. The ground beef's already starting to spring back. It comes back really, really fast. So let's talk about how I like to use this on a semi-daily basis. So in one of my videos a while back, I discovered these little packs of, I think it's called Primi Instant Pasta. It's a pasta bolognese and it's really, really tasty. The problem with it is it doesn't have any proteins in it. I like to have a little bit of meat when I'm having pasta. Sure, you can eat pasta on its own, but it's always a better and more substantial lunch when you've got some kind of protein in there. So what I'll do is I will take a pack of that ground beef and I'll pour it into that pasta and then I'll put hot water in it, cap it, let it cook, and 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, it is perfect and ready to eat. It adds a whole new dimension to those instant packets. So I'm one of those people, I like red meat with red sauce and white meat with lighter sauces. So if I'm eating something with a marinara or something like that, I want ground beef. If I'm eating something like Alfredo or just tossed in with noodles, then I would opt for chicken. Now this chicken prepared like this would be perfect with ramen. One of the issues that I take with ramen noodles, I know they are a staple in the prepper community and the outdoorsman community. If you're not putting something in with those ramen noodles, you're not really getting anything out of it. They don't have a lot of nutritional value. They got a whole lot of sodium in them. So you're getting a lot more negatives than you are positives from using ramen. But if I've got some ramen on hand and I'm going to use that for lunch, I can add that chicken in there while the noodles are cooking. And when it's done, I've got a hearty amount of protein added in with those ramen noodles. Super simple lunch, easy to fix, and you're not really adding any extra steps. Sure, you got to open that package and dump it in. There you go. That seems to me like a no-brainer. Now with the Cajun Trinity or the Cajun Mirepoix mix, you can put that in with anything. I love the way it flavors spaghetti. So if I'm going to add some of that ground beef in with some of that instant spaghetti, I might just add a pack of that freeze-dried mirepoix in there too, so that I can really bring out the flavors that I enjoy when it comes to pasta. But the great thing about this approach is that whatever you're eating, if it can benefit from adding a protein to it, you don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to have canned or pouched chicken that has that weird processed flavor. You can have chicken that has maintained all of its nutrients and its flavor right at your fingertips. To me, this is where the value of a freeze dryer comes home. When you have things that you're using every day, you're not stocking up for the future, you're not stocking up for the apocalypse. You are using this stuff every day in a practical way. You know, with the way the price of meat has gone over the last couple of years, that roller coaster ride that has happened with meats, every once in a while you find a really good price on it. You really want to stock up, but maybe you don't have a lot of room in your freezer, or maybe you're worried about buying that much stuff and then having something like a natural disaster hit and your freezer goes out and now you've lost it all. With a freeze dryer, I can take that stuff, I can make usable product that I don't have to worry about any conditions causing it problems. As long as I package it properly, I can go back and pull it off the shelf and use it anytime I want to. Not to mention, it's already cooked. I don't have to break it out, thaw it out, cook it, and then throw it in with whatever I'm making. And I think that's my favorite part of it. I mean, it's ready to go. All right, it's been about 3, 4, 5 minutes maybe, and it looks like all of our stuff's back. I'm gonna pour off some of this excess water, and then we're gonna get in here and try this. All right, there we have our ground beef as it presents, being reconstituted after being freeze dried. It smells really, really good. I mean, it smells like fresh ground beef. Anytime you're using a canned meat product, you always have weird smells and weird flavors that come as a result of the process of canning. When you're dealing with stuff like this, you just have the natural flavor of whatever it is that you put in that freeze dryer. Let me get a bite of this and see how well it reconstituted. By the way, if it looks weird just eating straight ground beef, this is one of my wife's favorite things. If I am making ground beef, she will come in and pick at it and eat it straight out of the pot. It's one of those weird things she likes to do. All right, let's give that a try. Bon appetit. It's perfect. No issues at all. No problems with consistency. The fact that I cooked it with water, it breaks down into a much finer structure. So if you like your ground beef a little chunkier, don't do that, because it does make it a little bit finer, a little more grainy, but it also makes it where it'll take seasoning a lot better. But that is quite yummy. All right, let's get here and try our chicken. And then I'm going to show you all the bonus item that I made. The chicken has an amazing texture to it. This feels exactly like it did when I put it in the freeze dryer. But let's see how it tastes. Y'all, this right here can't be beat. That rotisserie seasoning that goes into this stuff when they prepare it at the store has so much flavor in it. Even reconstituting it, pouring off the extra water, it doesn't diminish the flavor at all. This right here is hard to beat. Yeah, that's yummy. But I think I can make both of these items better. How can I do that? Let me show you. Boom. That right there. You know what that is? That is Cajun Trinity powder. After I finished freeze drying the Trinity, I packaged some up just to use as is. Then I took what was left and I put it in the Ninja food processor and I ground it into a powder. The great thing about this is I can use this as a seasoning for anything that I'm cooking. For example, let's try it on this ground beef. By the way, this stuff smells amazing. Now, when I cook this, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, I did add a little bit of garlic into it, which really brings out all the great flavors. But this stuff smells insanely good. It smells so delicious. Let's add some onto the ground beef. It needs a little help. It's a little plain tasting. So let's just sprinkle some of our Trinity powder. Now you can add salt and pepper and garlic and things like that into this powder mix. I cooked my Trinity in a little bit of salt and pepper and then at the end added garlic. But if you don't want to add salt, you don't have to. If you have issues with salt, don't add it. Just use that as a flavoring. Let's mix that in a little bit and see what we ended up with. I was talking to my buddy, Mr. Fish, a couple days ago. He sent me a video of a guy making caramelized onion powder. And it was funny because I had just made that Trinity powder. So I told him about that. And all of a sudden ideas started going back and forth. He suggested making a caramelized garlic powder. And then I thought, what about a smoked garlic powder? That would be amazing. So I might try that soon. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in seeing, drop a comment down below and tell me about it. Let me know. Oh, by the way, if you're enjoying this video, do the thumbs up thing. Do the subscribe thing, ring the bell thing, and feed the algorithm by leaving a comment. Tell me what you think about these ideas and get me ideas for other stuff that I can make for daily staple items. All right, let's try this out. See how it is. Our freeze-dried ground beef with our freeze-dried Trinity powder. It smells so good. All right. Totally different taste. That Trinity powder brings so much to the table. If I had added more salt to it, it really could be a strong seasoning, but I was trying to go light on the salt. Next time I make it, I might add a little bit more salt while it's cooking just to make it a little stronger. But this stuff is so good. It brings such a rounded flavor to whatever you put it in. Chicken's already super good. Let's give it a little Cajun kick. All right, there we go. Got a little green stuff on our chicken. I'm not too worried about this one though. Going in. Wow, that is super good. Oh my goodness. I think I'm gonna have to make a batch of that to keep it work. That's amazing. All right, there you have it. My suggestions for ways to justify the cost of a freeze dryer. If you have had your eye on one of these things and you're having a hard time talking your spouse into letting you get one, show them this video. Show them the things that you can do to make it useful on a daily basis instead of having to look to the future for some weird disaster to come along and justify using the items that you're making. It doesn't have to be about tomorrow. It can absolutely be about today. But that's everything I've got for you this week. Come around next week. Let's see what kind of new stuff we come up with then. And until then, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. We'll see you around.